Diazepam is an anti-anxiety drug to help manage general anxiety disorder and panic disorders. It is also used for skeletal muscle relaxation, seizure disorders, pre-anesthetic medication or intravenous anesthetic induction, and for alleviating abstinence symptoms from alcohol withdrawal. This chart shows some of the most common side effects seen when using the diazepam pill, and the most common of these would be drowsiness, dizziness, tiredness, blurred vision, or unsteadiness. Diazepam is a form of benzodiazepine, and these treat the same things as diazepam. They're referred to as benzos and are widely prescribed for a variety of medical and mental health concerns, and they have hypnotic, muscle relaxant, or anticonvulsant properties. Diazepam is a long-acting benzodiazepine, which means it takes longer to begin working and is effective for the longest period of time when compared to short-acting and intermediate-acting benzodiazepines. Since benzodiazepines can work quickly, they are often used to help manage immediate or severe effects of overstimulation. They are typically first course but not long-term medications. The brain and body quickly adjust to their presence when used frequently. Users develop a tolerance to their effects. If individuals keep using the drug, they will need to increase quantities or frequencies in order to continue to experience the same effects. Benzodiazepines work best in conjunction with other long-term medications. Hey there, I'm Campbell France, and you're watching Chemical Crash Course History, and today you're going to learn about diazepam. In the first half of the 20th century, barbiturates and mepibromates were developed to find a better sedative drug than just simply using alcohol or tranquilizers. However, these developments were limited just because of their high potential for abuse and dependence, and because of their fatal consequence of overdose. In 1954, pharmacist and chemist Leo Sternbach, who was working at the Hoffmann-La Roche Pharmaceutical Company, was tasked with developing a safer alternative to barbiturates and meprobamate. Out of the 40 new compounds he created, there was one that was more stable and reliable than the others, and it was named Librium. It was introduced to the U.S. in the 1960s and became the world's first clinically useful benzodiazepine. After the creation of Librium, the race to create more and better benzodiazepines commenced. In 1963, the second successful benzodiazepine was created, and that was diazepam. Diazepam gained immense popularity with doctors and patients throughout this time, and between the years of 1969 and 1982, diazepam was the most prescribed drug in the United States, and in 1978 it had a sales peak at 2.3 billion pills sold that year. This graph shows that prescribing diazepam-containing drugs is very common. And now for an experiment that proves diazepam's effectiveness. Recent research has proven that diazepam use eases and quickens alcohol detoxification. 25 male veterans who were admitted to a hospital for alcohol withdrawal were given 20 milligrams of diazepam at the first sign of alcohol withdrawal symptoms. Hourly withdrawal and diazepam intoxication assessments were taken for the next 12 hours. At any point, if the patient's diazepam-induced intoxication level fell below a certain level, they were given another 20 milligrams dose. None of the subjects required medication beyond the 12-hour period, and there were no diazepam or alcohol withdrawal-related complications. These results suggest that this diazepam loading technique of alcohol detoxification may be safe, effective, and timely. This graph here shows the percent of patients that experienced unpleasant side effects while taking diazepam. It shows that when compared to phenobarbital, diazepam produces side effects in a significantly smaller percent of patients. Now you might be wondering, how exactly does diazepam work? So one way that diazepam works is that it reduces the release of ACH, which is a neurotransmitter, into the synaptic cleft, and then that will therefore cause muscle contraction to be prevented. So how that actually works is that after the arrival of a nerve signal at the axon terminal, your synaptic vesicles here will fuse with the motor neuron membrane at the axon terminal. And this is your motor neuron here, this black thing that I have drawn. And then whenever this fusion occurs of the vesicle with the motor neuron, your acetylcholine neurotransmitters will be released into the synaptic cleft, which is this area right here. And within the synaptic membrane, there are ligand-gated ion channels, which I have represented by the blue, and they have receptors for ACH. And this is where acetylcholine will bind to. And whenever this binding occurs, the ligand-gated ion channels for sodium ions will open, and that'll cause, here's your sodium ions, that'll cause your sodium ions to rush through the sarcoplasmic membrane into the sarcoplasmic reticulum here, and then through another series of events, your muscle contraction will occur. But this right here is known as your action potential. And after that, series of events occurs, contraction occurs. But whenever acetylcholine release is reduced, so say this goes down, this binding here will be less likely to occur. And if that doesn't occur, then your ligand-gated ion channels will never open. So your sodium ions will never rush through the membrane and into the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Therefore, action potential never occurs, and then muscle contraction is prevented. Diazepam also works by promoting the effect of the neurotransmitter GABA in the CNS by binding specifically to receptors within critical areas on the GABA receptor complex. This binding increases neuronal chloride ion influx within these sites, and this action will reduce neuronal excitability throughout the nervous system, which will cause a person to feel more relaxed. This was discovered in 1977 by Roche. Diazepam is also a drug that has a high hepatic extraction ratio, meaning that it is well metabolized by enzymes in the liver, so a large volume of blood perfusing the liver will be cleared of the drug per unit of time. Because of this, it is also easily excreted from the body via urine. Diazepam has no hydrogen bond donors, 3 hydrogen bond acceptors, and a low molecular weight, and these properties are consistent with good central nervous system penetration and drug metabolism properties, proving it to be very effective. Diazepam is extremely effective. It has about 100% bioavailability when administered orally, intravenously, and intramuscularly. And it is highly protein bound, which is linked to having high bioavailability. Now, time to talk about the advancements in the drug. An advancement in diazepam is that it has now been found to relieve and control epileptic seizures. According to a study conducted by a specialty pharmaceutical company called Aquestive Therapeutics, its diazepam buccal film has been shown to provide comparable bioavailability when administered both between or during seizures and after seizures in adult patients who have poorly controlled grand mal seizures or focal seizures with impaired awareness. Another advancement in the formulation and administration of diazepam include the development and U.S. FDA approval of an auto-injectable formulation for the rapid treatment of uncontrolled seizures, which occurred in 2015 to 2016. This is now a first-line, at-home drug for people with epilepsy. Diazepam is on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines as one of the most effective and safe medicines required in a health system. This denotes its importance and efficiency in treating various debilitating conditions.